Hey, hey, hey. What's up? Be sure to say hello as you come in. Be sure to like the video. Got some cool stuff. I've been sharing the secrets with y'all lately, man. Got some cool stuff to share with you. One of the questions that I get is Ace. She's talking about 300% annual returns, man. Come on, dog. Be real. You can't be serious. That's ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous. Nobody's out here generating 300% returns. Sorry, I've got to get something started as we're getting rolling here. Shout out to Nori, my amazing assistant, keeping me on point as we wrap up the week. Just beautiful things. We got so many beautiful things in the works for y'all for 2022. As I said in a previous post, I'm a junior, a second. So, two's a number that I'm a big fan of. So I figured February of 2022, we'll make some magic happen. Awesome. All right, so plug in your questions, hit the like button. The likes don't cost you nothing. So give those out freely and invest your money. Oh man, look who it is. Chris, what is up, homie? I got to share just a quick story. So Chris is one of my homies when I was doing a lot of stuff out in California. He was down in San Diego. I was doing consulting work for basically a subsidiary of US Express. I'd owned this factoring company, and we ended up doing some stuff with them. And Chris was working on some amazing things on the project, and we were trying to do an acquisition of their company. And we got to build a really great relationship back and forth. And the cool thing is, and this is an important thing for everybody, it's like sometimes even if a deal doesn't close, I try to walk away from every deal with three things. New knowledge. I'm learning expertise from from other people. I think one of the things that's so undervalued, it's just ridiculous that people take for granted when you can talk to entrepreneurs that have built a successful business. I mean, it's literally like, like they just have won the lottery. Like it's the numbers to make it through what I call the entrepreneurial gauntlet. The numbers to get to the end of that are so incredible that anybody who's built a successful business has something to teach you. And so not to take advantage of that is just literally throwing money out the window because there's things that you can do with that knowledge that's going to generate you income. The other thing is more people in your network. So Chris and I have been friends, man, since for 20. I mean, I don't know, not 20, probably like 12 years, over a decade, 12 years. And he's done a lot of cool things since then. And so just every time you're doing these deals, you have this opportunity to build your network, and you never know, when your paths are going to cross. And, even just friends, like I was at his birthday parties out there, and just, we just also just had a really great time together in San Diego. And then the third thing that I think is crucial is sharpening your deal skills. So every time you're going through a deal, you're going to do due diligence. That's an opportunity to improve your due diligence skills. You're going to negotiate deal structure, trying to improve that skill. You're going to go through capital raising for that particular deal. And even when we were trying to put together the deal on this, it was going back and trying to raise capital from our investors in Chattanooga and, do get that deal. So all of these skills that it takes to get a deal done, even if the deal doesn't close, you've improved those. And like I say all the time on the channel, if you're in this space and you're gaining this skill set, you're going to be in top 2%. People are like, there's less than 1% of people who have ever acquired a business and leveraged all of those different skill sets. So they know nothing about due diligence. They know nothing about raising capital. They know nothing about deal structure. So to get good at all of those things puts you in the top 1% of humans on the planet Earth. So take advantage of that. Chris, thanks for popping in. Always great to hear from you. We are way overdue for a catch up. So definitely hit me when you get a chance. Let's see what else we got. Chief Combs, what up, homies? That's how I'm doing. I'm great. It's been a great week. Weekend is here. Had a really amazing lunch today. Check out ENTP Life, I think is his channel. I'll put a link below once this goes. But had lunch with him. He's a guy who does deals. Talking about some of his deals. He owns some properties in properties in 4 different countries, businesses, offices in 3 different countries, and got to hang out with him as he's on his way to Brazil. So that was a cool way to start the weekend and hanging out with some other guys here later. So it seems like there's a lot of people coming through, and that has been, it's always good to get in person with folks. So doing great. How are you? What are your plans for the weekend? What are you getting into? Darius pops in. Thanks for popping in, homie. John says, hey, Ace, thanks for the advice on the last call. No problem at all. Actually, that's live. Yardim says, VRR.ONG, whatever that is. Regardless, thanks for popping in. Andre says, how can I join the program? So we have a couple different programs, but go to dealmakersinstitute.com. Actually, the incubator right now is closed. Will be open again soon. So really, actually, the only program right now is dealmakersinstitute.com. Hang out with my homie Curtis. He'll jump on a call with you, see if it's a fit, talk about what we're up to. Excited to hang out with Curtis in Bogota. He's going to be coming down to Bogota. So trying to make that happen as I'm actually kind of traveling a bit to Cartagena, then back to Buenos Aires. And then I'm going to try to make it happen so we can, like I said, it's always good to get in person. So try to get in person with him. He's the CEO of Dealmakers Institute and does a lot of amazing deals himself. Andre says, thank you. You're welcome. All right, so let's jump in. What I want to talk about is a couple things. So I want to talk about one of, we've got these over 20 ways that we have kind of pulled out that, I pulled out initially over a decade in doing micro private equity. And then we started to pull out even more in the incubators because the thing that gave me was an opportunity to learn from the other folks that were in the program. So they would basically ask me questions that would bring to the forefront things that may have been in my subconscious that I kind of figured out, but just wasn't conscious of. And so that grew the kind of things where I was able to pinpoint like, oh, okay, like this is why this fund generated this massive return and this other fund did not. And so that's been this process over, first of all, the last decade, but then these last 2 years specifically, now we're at the 2-year mark for the private equity fund Incubator, which is really, really cool. And on our 6th fund with a very, very, very talented group that I'm honored to be working with as we go through this 6th fund. So the first thing that you're looking at is, having an asset that isn't dependent on the market. So I made a kind of funny post you guys may have seen if you follow on my Instagram. That's just talking about the beating that people that have all their money in the stock market right now are taking, or the people that have all their money in crypto are taking, because it's susceptible to the market. And the downside is when you have assets that are susceptible just to the market, when you're dependent on appreciation, when the market's down, there's little you can do if it's a passive thing. There's just little that you can do to try to get the Facebook stock to go up. There's little that you can do to try to get your Bitcoin to go up. So one of the important things that makes this different, and really it's two basic things that just as an asset class, it's not like necessarily a secret to getting really high returns. But the first thing that you want to understand and take advantage of is that you're getting cash flow on a monthly basis from that asset, in some cases on a daily basis. So you're getting that cash flow, and so you're not dependent on the actual value of that asset. You don't need to sell that asset in order to make money. You're making money every single day in that business. And so that's one part, but then, kind of secondarily is the fact that when you're selling cash flow, if you're selling cash flow, it doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't fluctuate the way that selling a Facebook stock does. Because the cash flow is always in demand. It takes a huge catastrophic impact on the economy in order for cash flow not to sell. For me not to be able to sell at a 3-4 multiple is just like, that's just going to be very rare. So that's the first aspect of just the asset class in general. The second part of the asset class in general is that you have control over that asset. So you're not just, I got to sit back and pray that crypto goes back up. I got to sit back and pray that my OM, which I do actually think OM will make a turnaround, but down 80% from its high. So some of the people that bought at the very top is painful. That's 80% down ain't no joke. Anybody in here in OM? So when you're getting punished like that, and you don't have really anything that you can do besides hold it and pray or sell and take your loss, that is just a place of weakness. So in PE, you're in a place of strength. When that business isn't making as much money as you like, you can go and learn new strategies, implement. You can bring in a consultant and even do a consulting for equity deal, or just these watermark type deal strategies where you don't even have to know the thing to do. And that's one of the things that Bain and Mitt Romney have been amazing at in the deals that they've done. So that's the asset part of it. Now, in addition to just the basics of PE, we've got a lot of these different strategies that we use to multiply those returns. One of them, and which is kind of one of my favorites, and it's kind of a secret. So, like I said, I've been giving y'all some of the secrets. One of the things that we've gotten created is a Patreon, because I don't want, and even some of my videos and stuff that I've taken down, a lot of it has less to do with me sharing it and more to do with if I have people that are going into deal makers or I have people that are more importantly in the PEFI funds right now, I want them to have the greatest strategic advantage ever. Number one, they're putting their money on the line, and number two, they got my money. I'm putting $100 grand of my own money in each of these funds, and so I just want them to have as much of a competitive advantage as possible. But we are creating a Patreon, so you can. I think you can actually go to it now. It's just Patreon/H Chapman, and start to see some of the back end things that we're sharing there. But that'll be something that we officially launch here pretty soon. But one of our strategies is around due diligence. And a big mistake that people make when they're doing due diligence, they put a bunch of work into something, and it doesn't pan out. I mean, how appropriate that we're talking about this, and Chris popped on, which was a seller years ago. And so, if you're doing like that was may have been a $10 million deal. It was a large deal. And in a large deal like that, there's a loan process. So you're building a relationship, you're building rapport, you're doing due diligence, you're trying to put the deal together, all of those different aspects. And so you've got a lot of time invested. And that's okay. That was a potential strategic acquisition. With those, you can take a long time. If you're in a fund and it's, like one of our incubator funds, it's a 2-year fund, you can't do that and generate the kinds of returns that we're doing. And so one of the things that I shifted was, instead of us doing due diligence and then trying to close the deal, we basically turn it around. So we actually close the deal and then do due diligence. And so I know you're thinking, Ace, that is ridiculous, dude. What are you talking about? Why would you buy the business and do due diligence? Like, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. Well, it changes how you do the deal structure. So if I'm closing the deal up front, all I'm doing is putting into that APA all of the things that are expected in the deal, which you do have to get good at. Like, I'm not even recommending, like, nobody should do this. If you haven't been doing deals for 20 years, you should not do anything I'm telling you to do. I just want you to give you insight and a different way of thinking. And so essentially what you're doing is you're putting in to that contract and that deal structure terms that basically say, okay, if the business does live up to what you've said that it's going to be, then here's the amount of money that you're going to get, essentially. But it's broken down into each aspect of the business. So if the employees are as productive as you say, if inventory is exactly what you say, if the sell-through rate, if the marketing is performing, so you have all of these different things, and so it gets more complicated on the front end. But you're able to close that deal a lot faster. And the most important thing is starting to get that cash flow into your bank account, because every day that you get cash flow into your bank account increases your ROI. If you've got to wait 90 days and you're working on a deal for 90 days before you get that cash flow into your bank account, that's 90 days wasted. If you're looking at a 2-year fund, that's literally 1/8 of the time. That's 1/8 of the life of your fund you spend on something that was generating no cash flow. So you've got to shift that, and then you're negotiating the deal. And it's kind of a couple things that you do. Like, we'll put LOIs on a deal immediately, and then we literally want to close the deal just as quickly after that. And like I said, instead of saying like, hey, we want to try to make sure everything is what seller's telling us up front. And this is why I say you really shouldn't do this. A lot of this comes to intuition in the deal, where you just looked at, I look at on average 1,200 deals a year. And so if I'm looking at 1,200 deals a year, I've been doing this for 20 years. There's a lot of intuition there. It's kind of like the whole thing of LeBron. Like, he's not thinking about what to do. He's been playing this thing for 30 years, and so everything is just instant, just muscle memory. And so that's my goal, even with people that go through Dealmaking Institute. It's like, I want you as quickly as possible looking at as many deals, doing as many of these negotiations, doing as due diligence on as many deals as possible, because that creates that kind of reflexive muscle and intuition when it comes to doing these deals. So you may not go out and do that exact same thing, but that gives you a little bit of insight into what's possible. And so maybe you do half and half. And you're doing a little bit of due diligence, but then you can still, because regardless, you could do the whole 90 days of due diligence and still in the contract protect yourself with these kind of insurance policies in the different terms of the deal. Cool. Man, I just love, it's Friday. We got folks in here at the end of the week, my fellow deal nerds popping in before the weekend. Certainly appreciate it. I think Andre was laughing at the OM thing. I was talking about that. But hopefully that is helpful. Go ahead, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Ace Chapman. If you're interested in deal makers, check out dealmakersinstitute.com. Some really cool things coming from the CEO, Curtis. If you're interested in whenever we get started with the next private equity fund incubator, you can sign up at acechapman.com to get more info, and be sure to like. Here, if you're not subscribed, I go trying this year at least twice a week to go live. So you want to get those notifications, you got to basically subscribe, got to hit the little notification bell, and you'll get those notifications and pop in and we can chat. Awesome. Have a marvelous weekend. Thank you, Mr. Lee. So thanks for another live stream. All money, Ace assets, cash flow, and we can't forget about the equity. Y'all have a good one.